Good morning, students. This is about the AC bridges, this video. Today I'll start the introduction part of the AC bridges. As you know that AC bridges are used for the measurement of electrical quantities like inductance, capacitance, storage factor, loss factor, etc. So before this we have already seen that measurement of resistance using Wheatstone bridge method as well as Kelvin's bridge method also. So this AC bridges is just the modification of the Kelvin's bridge or Wheatstone bridge rather. In case of Wheatstone bridge, all the elements of the four bridge arms were resistances. In case of AC bridges, we will see that inductance and capacitance along with resistance will also be a factor. Now, AC bridges are the natural outgrowth of Wheatstone bridge as I told you, and it consists of four arms, a source of excitation and a balance detector. Earlier in case of Wheatstone bridge, the source of excitation used to be a battery or a DC source, and the balance detector used to be a galvanometer. In case of AC bridges, the galvanometer is no more used because the AC signals has to be detected and very fine signal has to be detected, plus alternating current has its own phase angles and angular differences, so we'll have to be specific in case of the choice of detectors, which may be headphones, vibration galvanometer or tunable amplifier, depending upon the choice of how what kind of frequency range we are choosing. Upon that we choose the detector. So we see that there is the source required, there is a balance detector required, and each of the four arm in a impedance means all the four arms of the impedance will be now not resistance R but will be Z. It represents as impedance. So each of the four arm is an impedance, and the battery and galvanometer are just replaced by AC source and a detector sensitive to small alternating potential differences. So coming to the source part, source means the supply of EMF in case of alternating current bridges. Now these sources are can be power cables or can be electronic oscillators. So for the measurement at low frequencies, the power line may act as the source of supply to the bridge circuits. For higher frequencies, electronic oscillators are universally used as bridge source supplies. These oscillators have the advantage that the frequency is constant, easily adjustable and determinable with accuracy. The waveform is very close to sine wave, and their typical output is sufficient for most of the bridge measurements. A typical oscillator has a frequency range of 40 Hz to 125 kHz with a power output of 7 watt. Now coming to the detectors part. You see, detectors are most commonly used in AC bridges, and the detectors which are used based on the frequency scaling or the range of frequencies, I have classified this as the following. Number one, the headphones, which headphones are used at a frequency of 250 Hz to 3 to 4 kilohertz. Vibration galvanometer or vibrational galvanometers, which are used at frequency range of 5 Hz to 1000 Hz but commonly used below 200 Hz. And number 3 is the tunable amplifier detectors, which are used in the range of 10 Hz to 100 kilohertz. So this is all about our sources and detector part, right? Next we will move on to the generalized bridge equation that we have already done in case of the Wheatstone bridge method. So the general equation of bridge balance we will see. First we will draw the bridge just in place of PQRS as it was in Wheatstone bridge. We will draw the as Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4, the four impedance in the bridge arms. So according to that, Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4 will be our equations, considering that across Z1, E1 is the potential drop, across Z2, E2 will be the potential drop, across Z3, E3, and across Z4, E4. Subsequently, current flowing through the each of the bridge arms Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4 will be named as I1, I2, I3 and I4. So, let Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4 be the 4 arms of the bridge impedances. Now, the conditions of bridge balance is that there should be no current through the detector D. Earlier it was G galvanometer, here in AC it is detector D. For this, for no current flowing through the detector, we know that the potential difference between the points B and D should be 0, and this is possible when the voltage drop from A to B, the voltage drop from A to B equals to the voltage drop from A to D, right? So voltage drop from A to B equals to the voltage drop from A to D is the criteria, and both should be in both phase and magnitude. Means since we are dealing with AC quantities, we have to deal with both magnitude as well as phase. So in complex notation, if we write here, then we will see E1 is equals to E2, right? E1 is equals to E2. You see the figure. E1 should be equals to E2. E1 should be equals to E2, so that there is no current through the detector, and as well as that means E1 can be replaced by I1 Z1 equals to I2 Z2, and also at balance I1 should be equals to I3, means the same current I1 that is flowing through Z1 should be the current flowing through Z3 Z2. So that is why we can write that I1 should be equals to I3, because that should be flowing through Z3. So I1 equals to I3, that is equals to E divided by Z1 plus Z3 according to the voltage ratio. Okay, we can write that current as this, and I2 equals to I4 equals to should be E divided by Z2 plus Z4. See the figure, you can understand. So when we are using the admittances as well, we can write in both the forms by substituting the equations 3 and 4 in equation 2. If we substitute equation 3 and 4 in equation 2, then we will see that the condition that comes for bridge balance is Z1 Z4 equals to Z2 Z3. Or when using admittances, this will be Y1 Y4 equals to Y2 Y3, right? So this is about the general bridge balance equation for AC bridge. Now since these are vector or phasor quantities, the impedance Z, this will have both a magnitude part and a phase angle part, or the phase difference part. So this will be represented in either polar form, in rectangular coordinate form, radial form, any form this can be represented. So considering polar form is which one? Nothing but this. Impedance Z can be written as Z angle theta. This can be represented in polar form. So for balance, we can write this exact equation of Z1 Z4 equals to Z2 Z3. This can be written in polar form as Z1 angle theta 1 multiplied by Z4 angle theta 4 equals to Z2 angle theta 2 multiplied by Z3 angle theta 3. So our conditions will be such that for balancing Z1 Z4 and addition of the phase angles, which gives the product, whenever you are multiplying Z1 and Z4, the angle gets added, addition of angles. So Z1 Z4 into the angle, Z1 Z4 is the product of Z1 and Z4, and then the angular part comes theta 1 plus theta 4 equals to the angular part of this side Z2 Z3. Z2 Z3 is the magnitude part, and the angular part as theta 2 plus theta 3. So this is how we get the basic polar form, and these two conditions has to be satisfied separately. Means the first condition will be Z1 Z4 equals to Z2 Z3. Second condition is theta 1 plus theta 4 equals to theta 2 plus theta 3, right? So this will be your equation. Now coming to the polar form, End of polar form, coming to the rectangular coordinate form. So in terms of rectangular coordinates, we can write as z1 equals to r1 plus jx1 and z2 equals to r2 plus jx2, z3 equals to r3 plus jx3 and z4 equals to r4 plus jx4. So thus for balance we can write as z1 z4 equals to z2 z3, or putting the values just from the rectangular coordinates, which is r1 plus jx1 multiplied by r4 plus jx4 equals to r2 plus jx2 multiplied by r3 plus jx3. So this will be our condition of bridge balance. Now we multiply the terms and equating the real and imaginary parts, we get this as the equation r1 r4 minus x1 x4 equals to r2 r3 minus x2 x3. This is one, and second condition is that x1 r4 plus r4 r1 x4 equals to x2 r3 plus x3 r2. These are the two conditions for balance, and both of them must be satisfied independently. So this is our rectangular coordinate form. Earlier was the polar form, and this is the rectangular coordinate form. So these two forms we can have the bridge balance conditions, and these must be satisfied independently. Now coming to the problem which I did in the class also. So this problem says that there are four impedances of an AC bridge which is given in the form, as you can see, Z1 equals to 400, Z2 equals to 200, Z3 equals to 800 and Z4 equals to 400. Now the angles are respectively 50 degree, 40 degree, minus 50 degree and 20 degree. So we have to find out whether the bridge is balanced or not. Now applying the first condition of balance, as we can see that these four impedances, they are in polar form, right? So they are in polar form. Now just applying the first condition of balance for polar form, which is Z1 Z4 equals to Z2 Z3. So Z1 Z4 equals to Z2 Z3, we will see, we'll just put the values, and we can see that exactly Z1 Z4, product of Z1 and Z4 is equals to product of Z2 and Z3. Thus the first condition is satisfied, we can say that. But is this enough for considering the bridge is balanced or not? No. We have the second condition, which is the condition of the phase angles, or the magnitude part is done, phase angle part is still left over. So applying the second condition for balance, the condition is just theta 1 plus theta 4 equals to theta 2 plus theta 3. Now we check that whether theta 1 plus theta 4 is coming as 70 and theta 2 and theta 3 is coming as minus 10. So this is not equals to this, and thus it indicates that the condition of phase relationship is not satisfied, and therefore the bridge is unbalanced. So we can't say that the bridge is balanced even if the magnitudes are equal. The phase relationship has also should be equal to say that the bridge is balanced. Since it is not balanced, the bridge is unbalanced, we can say that. Okay. So this is about the bridge balancing part. Next we move on to the classification of bridges. You can see that I have done this because to make it clear and to be very much lucid in my demonstration, that which are the bridges that measure inductance, which are the bridges that measure self or mutual inductance, which measure capacitance, and which measure frequency. Okay, so this is just to make you remember. This is not in any book. I have made this for you all so that you can remember it. And the measurement of inductance, you have got two kinds of, you can say inductance as self inductance and mutual inductance. So if you take the measurement of self inductance only, then these are the bridges. What are they? Maxwell's inductance bridge, we will go through it. Maxwell's inductance capacitance bridge, also there in your syllabus. Hayes bridge, Anderson's bridge, and Owen's bridge. You have, except Owen's bridge, you have all in your syllabus. So these are the bridges which measure self inductance. Then there are bridges which are which measure mutual inductance, which are Heaviside's mutual inductance bridge, Heaviside Campbell bridge, Carey Foster's bridge or Head Wheeler bridge, and Campbell's bridge. You don't have any of them because you don't have in your syllabus a measurement of mutual inductance, but kindly remember the names because this will be helpful for you in future for the MCQs as well. Okay, so next you have measurement of capacitance. In measurement of capacitance, de Sauty's bridge and Schering bridge both are there, and you should go through them because these both of them are in your syllabus. Next is the measurement of frequency, which is done by Wien's bridge, and this is again not there, but still these are the bridges which measure these quantities. Hence I thought it will be important to make this table or chart. It will be helpful for you all to remember. Okay, next is that we will go on to the calculation of impedance. In the bridge arms, if you can see that, just this was our bridge, right? Here I wrote Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4. Now when we will enter the bridges like Maxwell's bridge, Hayes bridge, Anderson's bridge, we will see that we will put Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4 directly the values or the elements like passive elements like capacitance, inductance. So directly putting those in this bridge, you will see that the bridge balancing conditions of Z1, Z4 equals to Z2, Z3 will be becoming complicated. So I thought of making again another chart, which is this one, which will see that when each of the passive elements are in the bridge arms, those bridge arms will have Z as follows. If only R is there, suppose, then Z will be equals to R. If L is there, then Z will be equals to J omega L. If C is there, Z will be equals to minus J divided by omega C. These are the basic things. I think you know about the RLC and you have studied about the impedances earlier also. Still I am just, it's a brush up thing because now I will directly enter onto the Maxwell's bridges. So better I go through this. It will be easier. I will be directly filling up the values of Z from here, so that you don't get confused. I am just explaining this in the table. So Z equals to minus J by omega C. When R and L is in series, Z is equals to R plus J omega L. Okay, so when similarly R and C is in series, then Z will be equals to R minus J by omega C, and finally you get this as the term R plus 1 by J omega C. Then R and L being parallel, the term comes as 1 by Z equals to 1 by R plus 1 by J omega L, and that comes as Z equals to J omega LR divided by R plus J omega L. Now finally last one, which is R and C in parallel, we will get as usual 1 by Z is equals to 1 by R plus 1 by minus J by omega C, and that if we solve, we will get R divided by 1 plus J omega RC, and that will give us the value of the impedances. Now we will directly put this value of Z when we will calculate the Maxwell's bridge, Hayes bridge, Anderson bridge, whatever the elements are, passive elements RLC, we will get that and we'll put these values directly and we will solve for the equation Z1, Z4 equals to Z2, Z3. Okay, so before entering that, I think you need to go through this lecture. I have provided this entire notes in the PDF format in your WhatsApp group. Go through them. So end of this lecture. Thank you. Bye.